All right, I'm about to change my close couple tank and bowl here. I picked this up at Home Depot, the Glacier Bay all-in-one high efficiency toilet. I was actually trying to get the power flush, which I got for my half bath, but didn't have any of the stores nearby, and I wasn't going to pay no $55 delivery fee, or decide to drive 20 miles or whatever not to pick it up. I wasn't that enamored with it to do that. The biggest thing for me is that I wanted to have the higher seat, which is about 16.5 for most of the toilets now. The old ones are, too low. I forget where they're at. They're probably at somewhere in 13, 12, 13. Anyway, here's the one I'm changing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just an old model. It's a low seat, like I said, and it's just using too much water. Uh, this one wasn't original here anyway. I had this upstairs because I had the almond motif upstairs, and when I renovated the upstairs bath, I pulled the white one out of here to put up there, and since this was inside a water closet, I just put the almond one in here temporarily. All right, first thing I'm going to do though, I'm not going to start taking it apart first. First thing I'm going to do is just unbox this baby. Even though I could just pull it apart first. I think the best thing to do would be unbox it, put it off the side. Then when I remove the old one, I could just put it right back on my cart here and wheel it out. Secondly is I want to have it ready to go before I pull the other one out. Here in South Florida, we don't have to have house traps. As a matter of fact, they don't have house traps, as what I'm used to in the city, in New York City. Therefore, your house is actually acting as a vent for the outside sewer. Uh, and of course, you can shove a rag or cover it up temporarily, and which I'll have to do at one point. But the least amount of time that I have that open will be better. I won't have to pick up any sewer gases, much less any critters that happen to be nearby that want to take a trip inside. Okay, let's start the unboxing. All right, first I'm just going to get it off of this cart and get the cart outside. I've ended up dropping over here. These things are pretty heavy. Ah. So if you're not too strong, maybe you should get some help. It won't be too hard for me to put in place because I've done this before. And it's the elongated bowl also, so that's going to add extra weight to it also. I see no reason. At one point, the only time people use the elongated bowls were in commercial settings. But personally, I don't see any reason to have a round bowl, round seat bowl. It's more sanitary and everything. All right, we got what here? Stop! Please read instructions carefully. Make sure you have all the parts and hardware as identified on the parts list. There's an interesting story about that I have to tell you. All right, right on top is the tank. Everything's packaged really, really good. I really should utilize this rug so I don't have to lay this porcelain directly down on porcelain. Put it down on something soft. Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's packaged very well. I'm pretty sure they don't want these things being easily broken and people returning them. And as I was saying about read the instructions, they have an interesting story is that with the power flush, I'll show you later on with this one, which since it's a Glacier Bay, might have the same situation going. When I put it together at the end, there was no refill tube for the trap. And so I was trying to figure out what's going on here. There's no refill tube. Even called the company, called Home Depot, which they seem to not know anything what the hell I was talking about. I don't know why they have these customer support contact numbers that connect you with people who have no clue what you're talking about, or no clue on what the product actually is or does. But anyway, I ended up, they're telling me they'll send me the part and it'll take a week or whatever, not like that. And I said, I can't wait a week to use my damn bowl. And to make a long story short, it turned out that you didn't need a refill tube. The ball cock had the branch for the refill tube. The Douglas valve had the little hook spot where you would push the refill tube through. And yet you didn't need a refill tube. No water came through that. And I didn't find that out until after I bought another ball cock myself and utilized that refill tube. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be this. No, actually, this is not the same thing. I see right away. This one has a refill tube in it, and it's a different setup. It's more of the basic Douglas valve and ball cock setup. All right. So maybe it's something with the flushing mechanism of the power flush that made it that way. Okay, here's everything that's included. We have the wax gasket, the instruction booklet, sorry, the caps for the flange bolts, of course the nut for the speedy, the gasket that seals between the tank and the bowl, of course the bowl itself, the tank, and the tank top comes in a separate little package here. All right, let's get to it. First order of business, what we do is just take the top off of this thing. Find a nice place for that, out of the way. I'll put you over here. And of course, we're going to shut the shut-off valve. Oops, I'm twisting this thing all left and right. Okay, and get a little dribble coming out of there. Okay, let's brush this up good. And hold this down. I want to get as much of that water out as possible, especially if you're going through your house. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plunge this water out of the bowl itself, and then I'm going to sponge all the water out of here. You want to get as much of that out as possible because you don't want to get water all over the floor, if only for the sake of not having to clean it up after the fact. Right now, this is on the first floor. It's a solid concrete ground with tile, so a little water is really not going to go anywhere. But if you're on the second floor and you're working on a wood subfloor with underlayment that you didn't put in yourself, you don't know what conditions in, or if it's an old house, it may not even be any underlayment. Next also is the fact that these valves rarely hold for long periods of time. There's always like a little bit of water coming through on them. So I'm going to pick up also a little container to catch whatever water that may drop through there. I mentioned that the bowl's about $100, and it does come with the seat. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure it's not a soft close seat, and I'm going to have to take care of that. So as you see here, there's a significant amount of drippage here. It's not a crazy amount, but not enough that I can comfortably and slowly take care of this here. So I'm going to do a quick pull out on this thing here. All right. Any one of these tools would work fine to get the flange bolts off. Probably the box combination wrench would be easiest. I prefer the channel locks. That's what I've used most of my career. Another thing, you may have to use two of them if the bolt has sticky points or tough points on the nut. Or you have to get the nut up enough to get the channel locks underneath to hold onto the bolt while you utilize something else to turn the nut off. Also, I used 2 containers. That way I can switch. That way I can switch between the 2 of them without losing a lot of water on the floor, any water on the floor. All I have to do is, if I have 2 hands, put this one underneath, and I can move this one and drain it. Don't drain it, put it back inside the bowl you're trying to get it out of. Now, what I did with the tank is I utilized a rag and just soaked everything up, and then wrung it out inside of the sink or tub or wherever you wish. Don't put it right back in the bowl. Then I used the plunger to plunge as much as I can out of that and get some more with the rag is from there as well. You're not going to get all of it. Even if you got to a point where you got nothing, no water inside here, you're going to still have a lot of water inside the trap seal that's inside the bowl. So don't just haphazardly pick it up and drag it across your house, because you're going to leave a nice trail of water behind you. All right, let's just lift this up and get the hell out of there. All right, my wagon's not waterproof, but you know, I have bolts and washers in there, so it's not going to drip that easily. So it'll probably hold a little bit of water before it actually drips out on the floor. The easiest way to do this is actually put your hand in the trap seal, one hand there, and another hand holding the tank. Gotta be careful also, obviously you got some water on the floor, it's gonna be a little slippery. And these things, when they break, they are extremely sharp. So you don't want to tip the bowl, you want to try to keep it straight up and down. If you tip it, you're gonna let the water come out of the seal. Let's just get this out of the way. And you know, go slowly, don't make any very sharp turns, or you may be tipping it over and actually dropping the whole thing. That way you end up with not only water on the floor, but nice shards of porcelain. All right, let me just change the water pan again. And yes, I could easily just go shut the water off and change that valve. I just choose not to. I don't have a new valve with me. I didn't think that would be that bad. So I'm just gonna put it back, and maybe I'll know to change it next time, which will, if anything, it'll be another 20 years or something like that. I'm not going through these things that quickly. All right, then I have to scrape off the old gasket, the old wax gasket. Something nice to put it in there. These things are pretty messy also. You can just, first of all, just grab it by the plastic ring and see how much of it actually comes up. And a lot of it will, sometimes a lot more than that. And just take a scraper and get the rest of it up. Now, I usually put the flanges compromised here also, and you'll find that with a lot of them also, where the flange may have been cracked or loose. And you may have a big problem with that. This is a slight crack on this one. I knew that when I put the other one back. When I changed the bowl last, or should I say when I changed the bowl. But it was not that bad. Once again, that I had to go through a major deal. But once again, it's bad enough that I should have remembered it and was prepared to change the flange now. And although you don't have to, I double nutted. I kind of locked the flanges down into place, and then that way it's not spinning when I put the new ones down. And what I did to allow, you know, to keep that going is I held on to the old bolts, and I used that as a base with a washer. So I put the new bolts down with the old, one of the old washers and one of the old bolts to lock it down to the flange. Now, we don't want it locked down too tight. It has to be pretty much from side to side, parallel or perpendicular, whatever you want to call it, to each other. So it's pretty much fully at 3 and 9 o'clock. Now it's not going to be perfect. That's why you want to keep a little play inside of it. So when you put the bowl down, you can make a slight twisting adjustment with it, but nothing big. All right. Put this down again with the old washing bolt. It has to definitely be held onto the flange, otherwise it's not going to hold the bowl down. You don't want the bowl just sitting there and you get some big chunky people rocking it, and next you know, you don't have a seal. You know what, I think I might do a little extra with this one. Any day now. There you go. Okay. Okay. That. Now put the wax seal down. I gotta clean these gloves off a little bit. Okay, I got this fairly nice. We're nice enough I can put the wax gasket on, a new wax gasket. I did have a little problem getting that guy on properly, once again, because this particular frame's a little compromised. Once again, probably best to just change everything out, or be prepared to change everything out at least. But I don't see a problem with this. We've been here before, as long as they're right. Let's change this out again. I can pour that water right down here. Alright. Let's get rid of some of this garbage out of the way. Let's clean up some of the floor. You want to clean up as much of this as possible now that you have full access to it. Not so much underneath the flange as just around it. Unless you're a super neat freak and you want to make sure that underneath the bowl looks pretty. Right now I just want to get this out of the way. I don't want to lose my nuts. Come on, nuts. I need some more washes for that. Move all this stuff out. Okie dokie. Now I'm just going to mix a little bit of plaster in my beautiful little pail here. Plaster to a little bit of water in my pail. Doesn't have to be a lot. You're not making a brick wall. What you're actually doing is just putting down a seal for the side of the bowl. And here's what you have to mix it. A lot of times I mix it by my own hand. Plaster of Paris, dry. A lot of people are putting down cork, which is not the proper way to do it also. And definitely not the proper way to set this in cement. Because the purpose of this is not to hold the bowl down. That's not what it's there for. So you're not building this big chunk of cement underneath the bowl. The purpose of this is just to line the exterior of the bowl along the edges so that no water that drips on the floor is going to go between the bowl and go into the floor. That's what the purpose is. The purpose is not to keep water from coming out from underneath the bowl, and the purpose of it is not to hold the bowl in. Now I'm going to have to take an educated guess on this, since it's not the exact same bowl. And you know, like I said, we want to, of course, the entire exterior here. What I could do is take a quick measurement of the bottom of the bowl there. to see where it's at. If I had a template, it would be even better. But what we can just do is put it pretty much on the outside of the line here, maybe a little wider. And like I said, it's just the outside here that we're concerned with. And like I said, since I don't know for sure exactly where the new outline is, I'll put it pretty liberal around, because you can always get this stuff up. It'll come right up. And there's a couple of simple ways to get it up. The most simple of the ways is just to let it dry, and it'll flake right off. Now I am washing my hands off the little bit of plastic I have in my hands in the sink. But all you do, you're not going to clog up your sink if it's a small amount to start off with. And when you're rinsing it off, and then you let the hot water run for a little while. Now I'm just going to bring the bowl and see how close we are. Once again, when you're transporting the bowl, do it by your hand inside the trap seal. Okay. And people put a lot of plaster around the ring also, and that's not necessary. Like I said, that's not what it's there for. Now you do want to be a little careful when you're putting this down, because you don't want to, you know, press down right on top of the flange bolts. Okay. Okey-dokey. Now, before I lock this down, I just want to just sit the tank on it and make sure it's proper. You have to measure from the flange bolts, the old flange bolts, to the back wall to see what size bolts you need, bolt you need, whether it's a 12-inch soft center or a 14 center. Now this one has about 14 off the wall, but a 12 is there, and I think it's just a little space in the back. And that's acceptable for me. Another thing I want to show you quickly before I change that bowl again. Change my pot that's catching the water. Okay, I can actually pour water down here now, since it's sitting there. I want to show you quickly is that when the tank comes here, you got to put the gasket there. But this stuff here, the last wing nut and washer has to come off. That doesn't stay underneath the tank. That's going to go, but going to lock the tank down to the bowl. Okay, so we'll take that off. And like I said, usually lock the bowl down before you do this part. But I just want to make sure that everything fits nicely. Okay. And as I said, actually much better than the one that was there originally. I'm going to put these tank bolts on, locking it down to the bowl just slightly at first, just to keep it from tipping over if I tap onto it. The washer goes first, of course. And the wing nut is simple enough for me, and probably for you too. The problem right now is these nasty gloves here. Take away your feel. And let me take them off, but let's try it out. Alright, I was able to maneuver it. I don't have to take the glove off. I maneuvered it. It works. So like I said, I'm not going to snug it down too hard. Wait till it stops lightly on its own, then do the other one. What are you doing? Get on there. Okay. And to get this one on, once again, it's a little tricky. Get the gloves. Without the gloves, this will be a 1, 2, 3 for me.
Please don't make me take this one off. You're nice with the first one. Be nice with this one. Be nice. You're not gonna be nice. Might have to take the gloves off from this one. Yeah, this one doesn't want to be nice to me. Yeah, take this glove off and get a little collision on my hands. But at the same time, like I said, first I want to change that bowl out. The water building up. I didn't want to take this long. That plaster that I put in the bottom there, it doesn't dry super fast, so I got some working time. And there's something else I want to do there. But you don't want to wait till last minute with it drying. You want it to dry off good. I hope I get the wrong guy here. You know something? I might have taken the wrong guy. No, I think it's on now. Yeah, she's on now. I don't know why she wanted to work so hard. She wanted to make me work so hard this particular time. But she's on. No, it's okay. Like I said, I'm not tightening it up too much, just enough to make sure it stays on there. So what I'm going to do now, first I made sure that the plaster's all the way on the outsides here, and it's so wet. And I want to make sure it's sealing the bowl. What you do, you don't even have to try to push it in or anything. Just rub your finger across the edge, separating it a little space between the bowl and between the plaster. And first, like I said, once again, you want to look at this thing and make sure it's to your liking. That it's straight and to your liking before you lock anything down. Once again, get a nice smoothness around the edge again. Make a little separation. Good. Wash some more of this off. Now I don't put all this heavy plaster directly in the sink. I try to get some of it off my hands first, off my gloves, and I do it. Now I'll tell you another thing. Like I said, I find it easier to just let that dry on there and just chip it off. And I'm probably going to go ahead and do that. That way I have less residual there too. But a lot of people, if you want, you can just clean it all off. But make sure you don't clean it off before you tighten down the bolts here. Because what you end up doing is pushing most of the plaster inside and leaving it unsealed on the edges there. Alright, so let me just lock these bolts down. Yeah, another thing I want to show you directly though too is that to get the caps on, they actually clip into these plastic pieces here. And the way you're going to do it is you're going to put this end down where there's a little ridge there for this to clip into. If you can see the ridge on here also. So this end down, the raw end down, and the nut right on top of that. I prefer to use nuts, but we'll put this, what they gave us here, these wing nuts here. They're a little easy to work with, to tell you the truth also. Another thing, like I told you, you don't want to over tighten any of these bolts. You want it snugged and it'll hold well. You know, you don't want to horse it, because that's when you actually snap the flange or crack the bowl. But even more to the point here in this particular case too, is if you tighten it, over tighten it, then that plastic piece actually flexes and you won't be able to clip on the covers for it. Okay, so, and I prefer to use a washer in that also, to tell you the truth, but didn't have any extra washers. I'll probably get a couple of regular washers I have and take care of that myself. Yeah, I think I prefer to put some washers on it. But anyway, we're gonna get those same wing nuts on with some washers, and then we're gonna clip on the covers. And I got a little trick in case there's a problem with that. All right, I did say when I told you about the the plastic rings that hold down the covers, I gave you the wrong direction. It actually goes the other way around where it clips in. I'd usually use it the other way. I don't know. But anyway, the raw side comes up and it clips in that way. And another thing though, you just pop that in and you press it down till it snaps. Now another thing, sometimes even if you do it that way, it just won't snap in. Once again, like I said, for a number of reasons, manufacturing defect, you put too much pressure on the washer when you tighten it down. And what you can do, and what many people do instead of being worried about that, they never put that plastic ring down. They just fill the cap with the same plaster and just set it up on top of it. And believe it or not, plaster doesn't set like concrete or anything like that. So it'll lock that cap on when you're washing, cleaning around there vigorously. It's not going to come off. And when you're ready to get it off, it's not like you're going to have to use some hammer and chisel. You take a screwdriver, you pop the cap right off, and the plaster will just, chip right off. It's not something that's going to lock in there and make a big problem for you. But I'll put an annotation that I told you the wrong way the first time when I do that section, when I put the video together, if I can eliminate it altogether. That's that. So all I got left now is to tighten the tank up and to put back the supply line. That's all that's left there. And the tank is in snug. So even with the tank snug, I could actually just go ahead and do this, to tell you the truth. It's not going to leak, because it's not going to have any pressure on it. But you do want to make sure you don't forget to tighten up the flange bolts, because when you flush, it would leak if it's not tight. So let's just do that now. And I find the easy way to do that is put a little pressure on it, so you're not fighting against the springing of the gasket. What's leaking over here now? That's leaking. I have to tighten that up also. So you put a little pressure on it. You can put the rest and do this by hand, because that's why the thumb screws are there. They don't want you to over tighten. You don't have to put any wrenches on this at all. That's not something you want to do. So, like I said, this is already tight enough where it's not going to be a problem. I'm going to just give a little hit on this guy, and I'm going to hold it back a little bit because we don't want it to snap out of the wall. And by the time I get to the shut-off valve, I have a pile of water. Actually, it's coming from up top. Okay, I hope this is a compatible Speedy. I'll have to just go get another Speedy. If that's the case, I'll have to turn the water off because I won't be here to monitor the gazoo there. Okay. What is that? I think it might be this thing here that's jacked. Oops. The ball cap's not that tight. That's part of the problem also. I think that might have been the whole problem, to tell you the truth. Once again, that's another thing you want to horse. That's not the whole problem. This is still leaking. That might have a problem with this tank supply. Let's change that out. Let me loosen that up again. Turn this off for a second because I'm losing a little bit of water. Okay, once again, it was one of those basic Murphy's Law type situation. Anything can go wrong, will go wrong the worst time. The little gasket that actually fits inside the Speedy hit came out, and I didn't realize that. So I was trying to make this seal without a gasket, and it was forced up into the old ball cock. I just had to go dig it out of the old ball cock. That's why you don't throw anything away until the job is done. I know this is not something you really should have to use a wrench on. This is a hand job. Okay. Now it's in by hand, no wrench. Left, we got to do a little bit of cleaning here. I don't think you need to watch me clean. As I thought, it's just a regular seat, little cheap plastic seat that it's slabs, as you try to close it. I'm not even going to put it on. I'm going to just go out and buy the soft close and put it on. That's going to add another $30 to the cost of the bowl, of course. All right. Which brings it back to the same price as the power flush, the one that I actually wanted. But it is what it is. Okay, we're all set. I went and bought the soft close seat. Cheapest one I could find was I think it was like $27. And of course, as I look at it, it's not bright white. It's a little off, but I'm not going to be concerned about that. I'm not going to run out there and waste more time exchanging for a bright white for another $15, $20. I think from the 27, the next one was $44. Or they have a wide range of different prices. As long as it's soft close and it's close, it's okay for me. All right, let's flush a couple of dried flowers. All right, it flushes enough. And it's not a lot of water used for the flush. I just don't understand why they have it set for the tank to fill up so much just to drop so little water with the bowl inside of it. I was very careful inside the house, but when I got outside the house, I let my guard down a little bit. I made a steep turn because I was going to set the bowl into the backyard, or side yard, temporarily until garbage day. And of course, I made the turn too steep. The bowl dropped out and broke into a million pieces. And of course, I had to chop it up into another 1,000 pieces to get the pieces into separate bags where they're not too sharp. And I'll have to, when I put it out, keep a lookout for the sanitation guy to let them know it's sharp. Usually I put a sign on it that says sharp, objects inside or something of nature, heavy. I'll do that, plus I'll keep an eye out for them. And that added another 2 hours to my work time here, instead of just having to leave it in the side yard and then bring it out and put it in the front in one piece later. All right, anyway, I hope some of it helped out for you. I know it was a little long-winded, but c'est la vie. All right, we're all done with the bowl, and I had a serious problem with how short this flush was. It was just a quick, short flush, and sometimes when you press the handle, it actually, flapper went down before it even had a chance to flush. So, of course, I went online and I found out there were several things to do. The first thing I did was take the flapper out, and they have this big plastic bubble on it that has an adjustment on it. That's a little difficult to do, but you can check that on YouTube and find that video. I'm not going to take this apart again. Even then, it still wasn't as good of a flush as I like. I mean, it flushed out quite a bit, but for some reason I felt that it would just push the waste out of the bowl and have it sitting inside your pipes. So the second step I took is, first of all, there's a certain amount of slack inside these chains. There's none in this now because I took everything out. So if you feel this, it'll have some slack in the chain to the flapper. You can just adjust the chain. We'll take that flap out. I probably want one notch too tight because you don't want to put too much pressure on it where you end up having a leak coming through the flapper. I may knock that down another notch, give it a little more slack. Anyway, then on the ball cock, you adjust this level here by turning it clockwise to get more water in the tank.
but you got to be cognizant. The more water, you don't want it to get to the overflow tube where it's going to keep running. Now I got this like maybe a little more than a quarter inch, or just about a quarter inch off the overflow tube, and everything's working well. I'm going to leave it there at this point, but just like with the chain, I may bring that down just slightly again. Maybe I'll do that now. Just give it a counterclockwise turn, so the next time it fills back up, it'll be a little lower, not much lower. Anyway, I'm very happy with that flush now. See, it's still a quick flush. It's not using a pile of water. But before, I don't know if in the earlier in the video did I show the first flush, but it's just absolutely too short. And not much water going through. I made that slight adjustment. Let's see if it translates a little bit here before it gets to the top of the overflow tube. Yes, it's quite a bit more. I think it's about 3/8 of an inch now, so that's good. I'm happy with that. And let's see if we still got a good flush. Yeah, we still got a good flush. Now, if that seems short to anybody, you have to see how it was before. To add insult to injury, I actually went to, excuse me, to Home Depot to get, excuse me, just had to clear my throat here. Had to go to Home Depot, and I was going to change the entire Douglas valve. That's how unhappy I was with this, if all my adjustments didn't make a difference. And wouldn't you know it, all of a sudden now they have the power flusher in the stock, the one I wanted in the first place. You know, the one that I spoke to a customer service person who told me I'd have to go to, another store that was some distance away, who told me that I couldn't have them transfer one to that store. And here it is just a few days later, and they actually have it in the store. And I spoke with them about exchanging the bowl, which I knew was a long shot. And I was informed that once water runs through it, if you hook it up and water runs through it, it's yours. It's a done deal. I'm sure there's probably some recourse you can do with contacting the company directly and complaining, but that's a lot of time and energy for naught. I think I have the situation pretty well cleared now.